Okay, so welcome to this video lesson, and now we're going to implement nested for loops and try to draw any square of any length and any, let's say, rectangle of any length. Okay, and from now on we're going to implement every program with a sentinel value. If you don't know what a sentinel value, go back to like 2 videos before and you understand what a sentinel value is. Okay, so let's just implement a sentinel value before we actually continue. Okay, so sentinel value, and we mentioned to say sentinel value is simply just a value that allows the program to keep looping. It's like a control value. Okay, so then we can say int answer is equal to 0. Okay, if you still do not understand this, please go back to about 2 video tutorials, and then you should be able to understand what exactly we're doing here. Answer is is not equal to sentinel value. Okay, and then we can ask the user here. We can say something like do you wish to quit? Press 1 to confirm. Press 1 to confirm. Sorry, press -1 to confirm, and any other number to continue. Right. Okay, then we can have a scanf here and %d, and we can have answer here. Okay, right, so it's always a good idea to test your program every now and then. So let's try and run it and see if it's working. So it asks, do you wish to quit? If I press any other value, it keeps asking me. If I press any other value, it keeps asking me. If I press -1, the program quits. Okay, so our sentinel value is all set up. Okay, so now let's get to what we're really talking about, nested loops. So well, we mentioned in the previous video to say that we need to be incrementing x, and whenever x finishes, that's when we increment y. Okay, so that should tell you that we have 2 lengths, okay, or 2 for loops in that instance. So we can before we implement that, we can do all the preliminary issues and say okay, and say okay, height. We can define height which will be of any length. Okay, so for now we can say let's keep it simple. Height is 10, and then int length is also 10. Right. Okay, then we can say that we have the first while loop, okay, which is our y. So these are just limits. Okay, so let me just say limit height and then limit length. Okay, so now we can say something like y should be less than limit height, okay, because y is our height. Int y is equal to 0. Okay, so this is a starting point where our y is 0. Int x is 0. So we're all starting at 0 and so on. So when our y is 0, we need to increment x times, or this many times. So while our y is 0, we need to increment. So there is another action of repetition right now. So we can add another while loop here. And this while loop will be dealing with x. So x should be less than limit length. Okay? Okay, so then let's think through what next. Well, this y here will forever remain 0. We don't want that to happen. We want this y to be incrementing, as well as the x to be incrementing until it reaches the limit. Otherwise, this will be what you call an infinite loop. Okay, so well, so we can increment y in this for loop, okay, only after x finishes. That's when we can increment our y. So we can say y is equal to y plus 1. Okay, this is the same as if I said y plus plus. Okay, then so we have our y being incremented after our x goes through length times, or 10 times, but our x is the same, so we also need to increment our x. So this time I'll just say x plus plus, okay, which is the same as x is equal to x plus 1. Okay, all right, so now can we actually draw this? So to draw, we need to print something if we wanted to draw, because right now it will just be quiet. The program will just keep quiet. As you can see right now, it's just quiet because we haven't told it to print anything. We want to see something on the screen. Okay, so in order for us to see something, of course we want the x to draw, so I'll say print f, okay, and I'll draw an x, okay, or I'll draw a star. Okay, now what this will do is that it will just okay, let me show you. We are not yet done. Okay, so what this does is that it just prints one line. Okay, it just prints one line, as you can see here. Okay, and if I say repeat, it just keeps printing the same thing over and over. What we're missing is that we need to tell this program to go to a new line, just as we discussed the other time, to say that okay, to say that when x finishes, it goes to y. Okay, it goes on the next line. You can see it goes on the next line. Okay, so we need a new line to be implemented somewhere. Okay, and this new line is when this x, okay, when this x finishes, that's when we should implement a new line. Okay, so we can say print f new line, like that. Okay, so print f new line. Okay, so let's now try to run it off. Don't forget to close it. So let's try to run it. If we try to run it now, sorry, I must have done something. This is supposed to be like that, not the other way around. Okay, so let's try to run it. Okay, so there is a bit of a problem. Okay, so let's see what the problem is. Okay, so if we look at this here, okay, yeah, we're not resetting the x. Remember we said that whenever it comes back to this point here, we have to reset the x has to go back to 0. So whenever you finish this cycle here and y increments, okay, we need to reset x. Okay, so if we come back here, we have y, which is here, and x is inside here. So once x finishes, okay, once we finish x, we need to reset x so that it becomes 0. Okay, so you can do it from top here, and you can say x is equal to 0. So what this does is that now your x was 10. Okay, so your x was 10, and after this loop finished, you now reset your x to 0. If you don't reset this to 0, this loop will not run because it will always be comparing 10 is less than 10, which would be wrong. Okay, so this loop will never go inside, or will never happen. So we have to reset this so that when it comes back here to y is less than the height, you have x which has already been reset. Okay, so I think everything is now fine. Let's try to run this. Okay, so you can see now that we said our height is 10. So if you count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, okay, and our length is 10. So if you count these 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, right? And with our sentinel value, do you wish to continue? Okay, it keeps repeating. So we want to quit, -1, and the program quits. Okay, now you can make these to be a flexible program where you can have scanf and you can enter any length that you want, and then the program can keep making these shapes over and over and over and over. Okay, so this is where you can actually use while loops. There are a lot of other situations where you will need while loops, and the more you practice, the more you will know when to use and when not to use a while loop or nested while loops. Okay, right, thank you, see you in the next video.